Hi, this is Steph, and I wanted to finally get a video out. There are probably going to be several videos. I finally wanted to address what I do to manage I have complex regional pain syndrome, and excuse me, I just wanted to put something up about what I've used in the past and what has worked, what hasn't worked, and um, two items I'm very excited to try. Um, I just need to get a little more information. But I know that there's so many people with autoimmune and just different things that they suffer. And when I say suffer, you do suffer with these things. I'm in fact, that's why my arm's going, rubbing my knee here. But um, when you're just in pain all the time, and I refuse to take pain medicine. I don't even take aspirin. I don't keep anything in my house. But it does get miserable after a while, and you have to kind of take your body with you wherever you go. It's not like you can just like unzip it, leave it behind, and go out and feel good. It doesn't work that way. And but I wanted to start with if you have, like I do, something where your nervous system is chronically inflamed, and really most illnesses are based on inflammation. And the first thing you need to focus on is gut health. And I'm not going to get like real into that, but you have to. Most of us probably have leaky gut, and I will get into that later. And you obviously have to try to eat as cleanly as possible. I know it's like next to impossible. But filter your water, or I have natural springs around here. I go and fill up anywhere from like 20 to 40 gallons of water from a natural spring, or buy it at the store, what have you. But just try to eat as cleanly as possible. I know it's very, very expensive, and as far as I'm concerned, food should be organic. I mean, I just think the word organic with food is kind of nonsensical, because food was designed to be organic. But in these weird times we live in, you have to pay more to try to get actual real food that's not loaded with pesticides and chemicals, and it's not GMO and all this stuff. But so those are the two things. Really focus on proper nutrition and probably supplementation, because even a lot of the food, even if you get organic and whatnot, I mean, unless you're in an area where, I live in Amish country, so there's a lot of, farm stands, and there's a meat a farm that has a store where they sell, their own meats and stuff. But, I realize not everyone lives in the same area I do. But anyway, the first thing I wanted to cover, and I'm just going to give a little backstory to this. About 7, maybe 8 years ago, and I did not yet have the CRPS diagnosed, because it took me over 5.5 years to get a diagnosis, because doctors were just really giving me the runaround, and treating me like I was a hypochondriac. And when you could clearly look at my knee, because it's still swollen from a fall in 2012, and I tripped over an electrical cord, and I fell in our living room on a carpeted floor. But I did go down pretty hard, because there was nothing around me that I could grab onto to break my fall, so I just boom. And my knee is still swollen from 2012 to almost 2025. So you can just look at that and look at my other knee and go, oh, that doesn't look right, because that one shouldn't be swollen the way it is, or it's always cold, and sometimes it turns pretty colors and stuff. But so when this happened, I didn't know. I just knew I had a lot of pain in my knee, and I didn't know why, and I didn't know why it wasn't healing. But one day I woke up, and I just was sick as a dog. I had a headache. I was nauseous. I could not even drink my coffee, which is, if you've watched me at all here and there, you probably know I like my coffee. This is my dog mug. You can see there's a lot of different kinds of dogs. kind of like my house, it's just laying all over the furniture and everything. But I buy these at thrift shops. They're usually like 50 cents a mug. But anyway, so I wake up in the morning. I couldn't even choke down a cup of coffee, and that's when I know I really don't feel well. Headache, nausea. My pain was like through the roof, and that night, before I got up, I was just getting horrendous cramps in my legs, and just feeling like sort of dizzy, whiffy. It just did not feel right, and I thought initially, well, maybe it's just a stomach thing or whatever. Well, one day stretched into two, and two days stretched into weeks, and I couldn't get out of bed. It was horrible. I just couldn't do anything. So, I'm not sure how I discovered this, but I found out that smart electrical meters, had been installed unbeknownst to us. And, I didn't know anything. I never even heard of a smart meter. I didn't know anything about them. And I just happened to stumble on a YouTube video called Take Back Your Power. And I watched that, and I think there were people talking about sensitivity. It's called electro-hypersensitivity. I think in that documentary there were people talking about being sensitive to this stuff, and because I was watching it, or I was watching something, and I'm thinking, oh, that sounds like, everything I've been going through. So that started like 2 or 3 years of me digging for anything I could find, research papers. I was reading everything I could find, videos, listening to different scientists. Dr. Martin Pall was really a pioneer in this area. I read a ton of his stuff, and I came to the conclusion that because of my nervous system being kind of on high alert all the time, that being bombarded with not only Wi-Fi but now the smart meters, because they pulse, so they're like pinging all the time, and then of course we had cell phones, and they're pinging all the time, and everyone else has cell phones, and everyone else had a smart meter, so I figured out that was my issue, and a couple books I want to recommend. Even if you don't feel the effects, don't think it's not affecting you, because it affects everyone. And if you're here in the U.S. in particular, we are exposed to far more of the radiation from this stuff than most countries allow. This stuff is not healthy for you. I don't have Wi-Fi in my house. I don't have a cell phone. I don't allow people to use a cell phone in my house. I have an Ethernet cord cable on my laptops, and I simply can't tolerate being in Wi-Fi for very long, or being, like, say, in a waiting room where everyone's on their phones, because it makes me crazy. I get heart arrhythmias from it. I have like pins and needles from neuropathy, but that will exponentially get worse as well. It just exacerbates everything that I feel on a day-to-day basis. But the first book I wanted to recommend, it's called The Body Electric, and Dr. Robert Baker, I believe. I don't have the book. I had to find it. I had to get it from a library, but it's called The Body Electric. Becker is one of the authors. It's co-authored by someone else who I can't recall, but the reason I say that is because there's another book called The Body Electric by a completely different person, and I'm not even quite sure if that's like a scientific book or what that is, but the one I read is by Becker and the other guy. It's kind of dry. It's more like technical, sciencey, and it's not like a edge of your seat medical or a murder mystery or something. It's not real fun to read, but you can get through it. It's kind of a good primer. And this book, The Invisible Rainbow, A History of Electricity and Life by Arthur Furstenberg. This goes over the history of the electrification of different countries and how this also affects you. And this goes into, oh, good grief. Um, this goes into, the author is actually electrosensitive. Okay, so he's kind of writing from that perspective, and I don't agree with everything the man talks about in here, because he goes off on some other stuff that doesn't really have to do with the EMFs or the electricity. But I highly recommend this book. I believe I got this off of Amazon, and this was really engaging. This one was really interesting to read. And lastly, I mean, there's all kinds of stuff I can recommend here, but last one is EMF'd. This is by Dr. Joseph Mercola, and also, I believe, Amazon. I did another video where I went over this book, but I would highly recommend at least those 3 books: The Body Electric, The Invisible Rainbow, EMF'd by Mercola. And Dr. Mercola also has a website. It's just drmercola.com. He has a lot of natural medicine stuff, information on his website. But, even if you're not sensitive like I am, it's still damaging. It damages your DNA. It does a lot of the radiation. Radiation is radiation. There's like no safe radiation. I mean, you can maybe limit your exposure, but it's dangerous stuff, and it really, people need to take precautions with it and take measures to mitigate your exposure. And this book, he gives you a lot of information on things you can do to mitigate your exposure, like using an Ethernet and that sort of thing. But there's a lot of really good information, and also this book was a really good read too. I think I whipped through this like in 2 evenings or something. I love to read, so but I would highly suggest you start there, because, and even if you don't have a chronic illness or you don't have chronic pain, say you just are getting like weird headaches that you never got before, and you don't know why, or you're feeling sort of antsy and anxious, and or even like depression. These are all things. I mean, that's just a short list, but these are all things that all of this crap that we're constantly swimming in can either cause or make worse. So I would ask again, that you do your own research. I am simply stating my opinions based on things that I have read and studied. But that would be a good start. And I think if you are having symptoms like that, you're headachy, you're tired. That was the thing I forgot to mention. I just had this profound fatigue. I just felt like I'd been hit by a train. I just no energy, no motivation, horrible pain, headaches, throwing up, couldn't eat, couldn't drink. Obviously I had to drink and eat a little bit, but I couldn't get my coffee down, and that's when I know I'm not feeling well if I can't drink my coffee. But start there, and I'm going to need a little bit of time. Tomorrow I may sit and generally I do these videos I just wing them. I just turn the camera on and start talking, so I don't really have a script, or I don't have anything written down. But I have a lot of stuff here, so I want to write everything down and kind of get it organized, so that I'm not like all over the place like I normally am. But I've been in touch with a number of people who experience chronic issues and probably are feeling desperate, like I felt. Well, I still do kind of, but I do very, very well, and I don't rely on pharmaceuticals and doctors, because when you go in there with like really bizarre, peculiar symptoms, and like your symptoms are just all over the place, they just look at you like you just grew 2 extra heads on your shoulders. Well, I can't because I'm female, but if I had broader shoulders, then I could fit 2 more heads, but I can't because I'm just little and petite, and so that's where I wanted to start. And I didn't want to get this, too long. So I'm going to work on getting some other like book recommendations, and sort of take a trip down some herbal medicine, like a bunch of weeds that are probably growing, if not in your yard, somewhere nearby, that are not only edible, but they have a lot of medicinal properties. And I didn't even know. I have about, I think, 6 different things that just grow as weeds, that, I didn't know, first of all, that I could even eat them, but that they had properties that can help with different things. And I grow a lot of my own herbs. Unfortunately, some of them you need to use the root, and I really don't like to pull up the plant to get to the root. But when they get bigger, I'll have more I can kind of chop down and get part of the root. But so that's it for now. I just wanted to get that out there because I had promised that some time ago, and I couldn't foresee what was going to happen with Mike, and I just my brains were so scrambled, I couldn't get my thoughts together, and I probably missed something today that I wanted to say, but I just wanted to get this out. And like I said, I'm going to work on getting everything kind of organized, and I do have an email. I think if you go to the About on my channel, I think it's on there. If not, if you just leave a comment, I'll give you my email. I've done that before. I've had people email me. I don't mind that. We can maybe get like a little club, or a little online chat line going or something, and maybe compare notes. And because if somebody has something that works for them, I'd love to hear it. So please leave it in the comments. For me or for anyone that reads them. Because, I just want to try to help other people who are maybe suffering with some of the same things that I am, and see if we can't all work together to get ourselves in a better space. So I will try to get a video out maybe tomorrow, but if not, because I never know day to day what I'm going to be doing, but if not tomorrow, sometime early in the week, I will get at least part 1, or I guess this is part 1. I guess it would be part 2. And I'll go over some of the stuff that I've used that's been really helpful, and some of the stuff that has not been quite as helpful. Okay, so that's it for right now. And I hope you'll join me in a journey to better health. So thank you all, and have a good one wherever you're at. See you next time. Bye-bye.